are you?
I'm good.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Justine Davey, and I am a school counselor at the North Carolina School of Science and Math, which is a residential high school for 11th and 12th grade students.
What brought you into being a school counselor?
So I am an alum of this school, the School of Science and Math, which is a very STEM-focused school, and I think it started that when I left Science and Math, or when I left this high school, I realized that I'm not really interested in science or math and at the level that, at this high level. And I started, when I entered college, I was just a little bit more drawn to the social sciences, which is working with people. My undergrad degree is actually, I got a bachelor's degree in communications, and I remember when I declared that major, my mom said, so you're gonna go to college for 4 years to learn how to talk to people. And I know that at least in the Asian American, or the Asian culture, I don't think social sciences is super is valued as a profession, but I saw it, I think for my mom, she saw it as, oh, well, talking to people, why do we need to go to 4 years of school for that? But I think I saw it as, well, talking to people is the base of everything else that we do, and that we can be great engineers, we can be great programmers, and we can be great researchers, but if we can't communicate that with other people, then we are kind of in our silos. So I was drawn to people and understanding people and how to communicate with people, communicate with different types of people. So that was where it all started. And then I minored in sociology, and then my master's degree is in social work, and that was just a deeper dive into different social issues, and which also comprises of who we are as people and comprises of how we should talk to each other, and I guess that one thing after another led me to a profession where I am supporting students with their personal issues, but also through the college application process, and every student is different. And so I think the work is important, and so I guess that's why I'm here.
How do you deal with criticism?
I think it depends on who you ask. I like to think that I am always I would like to always be in a growth mindset, and that if someone has ideas of how I can improve, whether it's personally or professionally, of course I would like to be open to that, and because I think that people share those criticisms out of, they share it because they want me to improve, and if I don't take that in, then I think that that's more of my loss than theirs, and so I try to always be open to criticism.
How can Asian American students in particular better understand and explore your profession?
Well, I am always happy to talk to any Asian American students who are interested in being a school counselor, just because I know it's not, we aren't well represented in this field, but I think it's so valuable, and so I'm always happy to be a resource. But I would say every student has a school counselor, and so one thing that I did before I went into the profession, I actually reached out. Before I was thinking about applying to the program, I reached out to my counselor to talk to her about her role and what she likes about it, what her challenges. And even though that counselor was not an Asian American, I was able to still think about it from her perspective, but also think about how that might be the same or different for me to do it in that role, and what unique perspectives I can bring being an Asian American in that role.
With that said, what advice do you have for Asian students who choose to pursue non-STEM fields?
I think you should do it. One thing I was just telling one of my other students is that just because someone else is interested in STEM, or if you have a friend who is really interested in research, but the thought of staring at test tubes doesn't really interest you that much, then that's okay. And the way that I think about it is, with our career, it's something that we have to do for a really, really long time. And so I always encourage people to find what they enjoy, and if that's STEM, that's great, and if it's not, to still pursue that, because even though part of the reason we get a job is so we can make a living, and I know our parents are always trying to name the jobs that pay the most, but at the end of the day, if you have this really high-paying job that is really miserable, is that really worth it to you?
Was there anything about your background or upbringing that has benefited you today?
Yes. So my parents, they spoke broken English, and so I can certainly relate to our Asian American students, who I know many of whom do the same for their parents and go with their parents on doctor's appointments so they can translate for doctors, or translate for doctors, and also for their parents who have had to call the phone company and the internet company and ask questions about a bill or something like that. And for me personally, one, that certainly helps me to understand where other students are coming from in a way that other counselors don't understand. So I think as a counselor and as I support students, I always think about their families as well, and not only how can I support them, but how can I support their families.
Would you say it is important for Asian Americans to take greater leadership roles in America?
Yes, of course. I would love, I think representation is important, and so of course, if young Asian American students can see others in these different roles, I think that always helps. Because of shared experiences, even if it's a politician of Asian descent, there's just some sort of a shared connection of them understanding our experiences, and so I would love to see Asian Americans in more leadership roles, because I also know that when they are making decisions, they are more likely to think about how their decisions impact other Asian Americans, how their decisions impact other immigrants, and just others who have walked similar paths as we have.
Why would you say Asian Americans are categorized as worker bees?
It's because it's ingrained in our blood to work as hard as possible. I think that there is a certain level of grit that comes with coming to a new country, and coming to a country where you don't speak the language, you don't know anybody, or you don't know how the systems work. And because of that sacrifice, I think that the parents typically are willing to do more than average to provide the best for their children, and I think children of immigrants realize the sacrifices that their parents made, and therefore try not to take that opportunity for granted. And I don't want to speak for others, but I think that's how I felt growing up, and wanting to capitalize on this opportunity that that my parents paved for me, and so being lazy was not an option.
Why do you think that most Asian Americans are uninterested or uninvolved in politics?
I don't think Asian Americans are necessarily uninterested, but I do know that they are uninvolved, at least at a public level. And I think my thought is that, at least when I think about my family, one thing that my parents really stressed was saving face and not rocking the boat and not sticking your head out too far unless it's for a good thing. And a lot of times the nature of politics is that you're taking a side, you're advocating for one particular side of an issue that is likely controversial or has people on both sides. And it seems that just the way that our culture is, we try to stay away from alienating the other side or saying something that can offend other people. And so I think that that's probably one of the reasons that Asian Americans aren't publicly involved.
And lastly, what advice would you give yourself?
I think a good reminder for myself is always remembering that there is power and there is value in my own experiences as a child of immigrant parents, and that there are many students today who are experiencing challenges that I experienced when I was growing up and when I was going through school, when I was applying to college. And to be a reminder to those students that there are others like them out there, and that I can really play a voice of support for those students.